Hey, this is Talking on the Block here, and it is getting really heavy on the block. Now, there's a lot of news about President Trump and his war in Iran. Now this is interesting because everybody's focusing on Trump, but Trump, now he defends the war after lawmakers split on supporting the conflict. Now, in my personal opinion, this is just my 2 cents. We have no business over there, right? We have no business over there. But when you look at President Trump defended his administration's ongoing war in Iran after 4 troops were eliminated or neutralized. I got to be careful of what I say. Over the weekend, and hours after the White House Senate split. Now, this is the interesting part, because the Senate is supposed to slow things down. The House of Representatives is where things get all, hot and fighting, because they're closer to the people. The Senate, they're not closer to the people. They're sort of like, okay, let's cool down, right? But here earlier Thursday, the House of Representatives voted to end the war. It was 214 to 208. So it's still going to go ahead and go. 4 Republicans joining the Democrats to rebuke the White House. The Senate then struck down a similar measure with key Republicans backing the president. They're always going to be that key. Because, okay, whomever's in office as far as president, they have key senators and key House of Representatives that are going to back whatever the president says. That's just how it is. Every president, Democrat and Republican, but not independent. That's the interesting one right there. The resolutions were largely symbolic. Keep hold on this word. And would not have forced an end to the war, but did force lawmakers to record their stance less than 4 months before most of them were faced re-election. More than 2/3 of Americans said they disapprove of President Trump's handling of the Iran war. Now, keep in mind, it's largely symbolic, and there are people that are facing re-election. So they're not going to say exactly what they're going to do until they get re-elected, and then they're going to go ahead and do what they're going to do, because they know that Americans have a short memory span, right? So here, the votes come 2 days later after the defense Secretary Pete Hegseth asked Congress for $67 billion in addition to funding for the war, prompting Democrats to question whether the administration has a plan to end the war. No, they don't. No, they don't, because money is being made. You have these companies that need that money. Raytheon and a bunch of other war companies, because their stocks are going down. They got to keep their stakeholders happy. Go start a war, right? We got to make money. So the United States continues to fight over the control of the Strait of Hormuz. Then Tehran has specifically periodically attacked ships in order to deter traffic and choke the world's oil supply. Now, keep in mind, the port of Hormuz only has 20% of the world's oil. That's a lot. But however, the other part is on this hemisphere, the Western Hemisphere, to where the largest, the United States, Russian waters, and Venezuela has oil. Now, also in, Saudi Arabia and those areas. But don't sleep on the Caspian Sea. Because right now the fighting is headed towards, what is it called? Kyrgyzstan, which is on the Caspian Sea. Keep an eye on that. Promptly increasing volatility is already high in gasoline prices, which it is. So you got to stop and, just keep in mind that, okay, there's several things going on at one time, and we're being thrown to and fro as far as what's going on. Now, Trump defended his administration's ongoing military campaign after the House voted to end the war with Iran, while the Senate sided with the president. This is going to be interesting, very interesting. When we want to get over there, we want to get it over with, and we want to do the right thing, but we have to do what we came to do. Now, whatever that is, I'm not sure, but we have to do what we came to do, which is what I still don't know. But Trump said at an event of the Environmental Protection Agency in Washington, D.C., we can't let them have what they want. What do they want? They want peace, right? But which is nuclear weapons? No, that is not true. Iran does not have nuclear weapons. No, they may have some atomic energy, and they may have nuclear energy, but not to the point to where they're going to make bombas, right? But Trump's remarks came a day after he attended the dignified transfer of 4 U.S. service members who were eliminated in overseas fighting related to the conflict. Conflict. I had a very sad day yesterday, Trump said in July 23rd. A total of 18 Americans have been eliminated or neutralized since the war began on February 28th, which we would not be in this war if it weren't for the Biden administration. Oh, man, they had a lot to do with over there, but so did Trump. But if Daddy Bush never went over there to destabilize that area to begin with, this would not be a thing 40 years later, But this is going to go on. Now, it is affecting. Now here, this is the big point right here. The U.S. Department of Energy describes the agreement as one that would allow Saudi Arabia to develop its civil engineering nuclear program and gives the U.S. company good access to related commercial deals. So they're letting Saudi Arabia, you can go ahead and have nuclear energy as long as we get something out of it. But we have nothing to do with that country. They're a sovereign country. Or are they? You got to keep in mind, all that area, Africa and the Middle East, were all chopped up into different sections, and there are different European countries that had a stronghold. And over there, Saudi Arabia, you had who? England over there. So over there for, for about what? For a while. Since the 1800s, they went in there and start finding oil and all that other stuff. So Congress did not yet approve the arrangement, but few details have, a few details about it have been made public. But former officials and members of the nuclear community said it's a major shift in U.S. policy. and risks accelerating the nuclear arms race in an already volatile region. No, no, no. I mean, I don't believe that. And there's really no nuclear anything. And they keep on talking about. Let's see what this says right here, because no. Uh-oh. Okay. That's not allowing me to show it. Sorry about that. But like Saudi Arabia, Iran insists, despite significant international skepticism, that it is already interested in a nuclear energy. And they're saying, and keep in mind, they're saying that Iran already has it, but then again, they turn around and say it's only interested in nuclear energy. You see, you got to be careful because they're really greasy here. Not nuclear weapons, but Saudi Arabia and the Iran are historic rivals who compete for regional dominance. And that right there is something that has been going on for a very long time, and it's not going to end. They've been fighting for thousands of years, and they're going to continue fighting for thousands of more years. But it's the 4 Republicans who sided with the House Democrats on ending the war. And in my opinion, I think it should. Now, who are the people? Fitzpatrick and Barrett, who are running for re-election in swing districts in Pennsylvania. Now, keep in mind, John Fetterman is like, forget about Democrats. I'm going to either become a Republican or an independent. Watch him. Watch him, because he doesn't like what's going on and he doesn't want to be associated with it. And plus, he wants to get reelected. And Michigan, respectively, which the GOP needed to hold if they hope to keep the razor-thin House majority. And I'm going to tell you, Democrats, the Republicans may lose in some states, but I see them prevailing and winning. I see them because many people are upset. And plus, the Democrats are fighting amongst each other. Okay? But Democrats have focused much of their messaging on the rising gas prices and both of their districts ahead of the 2026 midterms. Particularly Fitzpatrick's area, which covers Philadelphia suburbs and southeastern corner of the Keystone State. So the average cost to fill up and has climbed to about $4.23 a gallon. And in states, according to AAA, which is $1 higher than a year ago. Massey, he's really slippery. He's a slippery one. Is among a group of so-called the free agents in Washington who've lost their primary after clashing with the president, but remain in Congress. That's because they're on their way out. And Davison, who is a bit of an outlier, he's representing in an Ohio seat that rated as safe by experts, but he has criticized the war without facing Trump's wrath. Quite interesting. But Tillis, now this is an interesting one. No on the war for now, right? For now. Now, Tom Tillis is a Republican of North Carolina, told USA Today, although he votes no on Thursday's War Powers a resolution, but he will flip the vote in support of ending hostilities over September 10th. Okay. His rationale that is 60 days from what he says is the first time that Trump's administration referred to the conflict as a war, because it is a war. And we haven't declared war, but it is a war even though we didn't declare it. So, I believe that they declared it on us, on the U.S. The War Powers Act gives the president a 90-day window to receive authorization to officially declare a war from Congress, which technically has that specific power under the Constitution. And President Trump does have that right. He can do it for 60 days, but he's not declaring war. Congress has to declare war. So the Senate voted down the measure that would have directed the president to end the war in Iran just hours after the House passed a similar measure led by the Democrats. So the measure failed from 49 to 46. That's very, very interesting. So I'm going to leave it right there. So what I say is that this right here is going to continue. And the Senate and the House are like, well, let's wait until after the elections. And then if we stay in, let's go ahead and just go on with it, declare the war. And I see that happening. I do. Because I see the Democrats are going to lose a lot of seats because people are upset. And not only they're upset, but they're also losing their voter base because they're getting deported. Yeah, it's sad to say, but their voter base is getting deported. And also their voter base, the records are being cleaned because there are people that passed away and all of a sudden they're voting. So that's something to really, really take a look at. Now, the House already passed the defense spending, which is quite interesting, right? So the House of Representatives on July 22nd passed a 1.15 trillion military spending bill, and the margin of 216 to 212, the Republicans largely in support and the Democrat largely opposed. Now watch the Democrats lose, and then it's going to be more Republican are going to support not only the war but the continued spending. Now the 7 Republican lawmakers, however, bucked the White House and voted against the package. 6 Democrats voted in favor. This is interesting because it's going back and forth. I need to find out who were the ones that voted for what's going on, the Democrats, and which Republicans are like, no. So the House votes to end the Iran war, and Rubio says the Houthis were suckered into attacks. Let's see. So the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, told reporters that Iran pulled the Houthis into bombing ships in the Red Sea overnight and hoped that they would change their behavior and stay out of the conflict with Iran. No, the Houthis are going to get into it because the Houthis were the first ones to bomb U.S. ships 2 years ago. So in August, September. So they're in it. They got suckered into it. I don't know if they got suckered into it because they understand that they're going to have to most definitely support their brothers. Rubio said during the trip to Southeast Asia that the Houthis largely were smart and stayed out of this throughout the conflict, but now apparently have gotten themselves suckered into it, going after Saudi Arabia and their ships. No, I guess because Saudi Arabia is siding with the Western powers, the United States. Keep in mind, Saudi Arabia was colonized by England, all right? And it goes on. U.S. Air Force deplores B bombings and striking targets. That right there's way too much money. They're using drones and short bombs, and the U.S. is coming out, using $1 million $1 million bombs. Oh my goodness. But this right here is a complete mess. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better. and the global oil prices, if you had any sense, you would buy into oil. I know it sounds crazy, but those stocks, you know. But again, all of this is about stocks, and wars keep money in the United States pockets because we are a war country. We have to have a war every 10 to 20 years to keep money coming in. But with that being said, what are your thoughts? Please like and subscribe. Please help me grow. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers.